Ezekiel, or Ezekiel, chapters 9 through 12. And he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, Let the punishers of the city draw near, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And look, 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with his battle axe in his hand. And one man in their midst was clothed with linen and had a writer's inkhorn at his side. And they came in and stood beside the bronze slaughter place. And the esteem of the Elohim of Israel went up from the cherub where it had been to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen who had the writer's inkhorn at his side. And Yahweh said to him, Pass on into the midst of the city, into the midst of Jerusalem, and you shall put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over all the abominations that are done within it. And to the others, he said in my hearing, pass on into the city after him and strike. Do not let your eye pardon nor spare. Kill to destruction old, young men, maidens, and children and women, but do not come near anyone upon whom is the mark, and begin at my set-apart place. So they began with the elders who were in front of the house, and he said to them, Defile the house and fill the courts with the slain. Go out. And they went out and struck in the city. And as they were striking them, it came to be that I alone was left. And I fell on my face and cried out and said, Master Yehovah, are you destroying all the remnant of Israel in pouring out your wrath on Jerusalem? And he said to me, The crookedness of the house of Israel and Yehudah is exceedingly great, and the land is filled with bloodshed, and the city filled with that which is warped. For they say, Yehovah has forsaken the land, and Yehovah is not seeing. But as for me, my eye shall not pardon, nor would I spare. I shall recompense their deeds on their own head. And see, the man clothed with linen, who had the inkhorn at his side, reported back and said, I have done as you commanded me. Chapter 10. And I looked and saw in the expanse that was above the head of the cherubim, like a sapphire stone, having the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spoke to the man clothed with linen and said, Go in among the wheels under the cherub, and fill your hands with coals of fire from among the cherubim, and scatter over the city. And he went in before my eyes, and the cherubim were standing on the south side of the house when the man went in. And the cloud filled the inner court, and the esteem of Yehovah went up from the cherub over the threshold of the house. And the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was filled with the brightness of the esteem of Yehovah. And the sound of the wings of the cherubim was heard in the outer court, like the voice of El Shaddai when he speaks. And it came to be, when he commanded the man clothed in linen, saying, Take fire from among the wheels, from among the cherubim, that he went in and stood beside the wheel. And the cherub stretched out his hand from among the cherubim to the fire that was among the cherubim, and took some and put it into the hands of the man clothed with linen, who took it and went out. And the form of a man's hand was seen under the wings of the cherubim. And I looked, and I saw 4 wheels beside the cherubim, 1 wheel beside each cherub. And the wheel's appearance was like the color of beryl stone, As for their appearance, all four looked alike, as if a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And when they went on their four sides, but they did not turn aside when they went, but they went in the direction the head was facing. They did not turn aside when they went. And their entire bodies and their backs and their hands and their wings and the wheels that the four had were covered with eyes all around. The wheels were called, in my hearing, wheel. And each one had four faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. And the cherubim were lifted up. It was the living creature I saw by the river Kabar. And when the cherubim went, the wheels went beside them. And when the cherubim lifted their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also did not turn from beside them. When they stood still, the wheels stood still. And when one was lifted up, the other lifted itself up. For the spirit of the living creature was in them. And the esteem of Yehovah went from the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubim. And the cherubim lifted their wings and rose from the earth before my eyes. When they went out, the wheels were beside them. And it stood at the door of the east gate of the house of Yehovah, and the esteem of Elohim of Israel was above them. It was the living creature I saw under the Elohim of Israel by the river Kabar. And I knew they were cherubim. 4. Each one had 4 faces, and each one 4 wings. And the likeness of hands of a man was under the wings, and the likeness of their faces was the same as the faces which I had seen by the river Kabar. Their appearances and themselves, each one went straight forward. Chapter 11. And the Spirit lifted me up and brought me to the east gate of the house of Yehovah, which faces east. And see, at the door of the gate were 25 men, among whom I saw Azaniah, son of Azor, and Pelatyahu, son of Benaiahu, heads of the people. And he said to me, Son of man, these are the men who plot wickedness and give evil counsel in the city, who are saying, It is not near, let us build houses. This city is the cooking pot, and we are the meat. Therefore prophesy against them. Prophesy, O Son of Man. Then the Spirit of Yehovah fell upon me, and said to me, Speak. Thus said Yehovah. Thus you have said, O house of Israel, for I know what comes up in your spirit. You have increased your slain in the city, and filled its streets with the slain. Therefore thus said the Master Yehovah, Your slain, whom you have laid in its midst, they are the meat, and the city is the cooking pot, but I shall bring you out of the midst of it. You have feared the sword, and I bring a sword upon you, declares the Master Yehovah. And I shall bring you out of its midst, and give you into the hands of strangers, and execute judgments on you. By the sword you fall. At the border of Israel I judge you, and you shall know that I am Yehovah. This city is not your cooking pot, nor are you the meat in its midst. At the border of Israel I judge you, and you shall know that I am Yehovah, for you have not walked in my laws, nor executed my right rulings, but have done according to the rulings of the nations which are all around you. And it came to be while I was prophesying that Pelatyahu, son of Benaiah, died. And I fell on my face and cried out with a loud voice and said, Master Yehovah, are you making an end of the remnant of Israel? And the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, your brothers, your relatives, your kinsmen, and all the house of Israel, all of it, are those about whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem said, keep far from Yehovah. This land has been given to us as a possession. Therefore say, thus said the Master Yehovah, although I have sent them far off among the nations, and although I have scattered them among the lands, yet I was for them a set-apart place for a little while in the lands to which they came. Therefore say, thus said the Master Yehovah, and I shall gather you from the peoples, and I shall assemble you from the lands where you have been scattered, and I shall give you the land of Israel. And they shall go there, and shall take away all its disgusting matters and all its abominations from there. And I shall give them one heart, and put a new spirit within you. And I shall take the stony heart out of their flesh, and give them a heart of flesh, so that they walk in my laws, and guard my right rulings, and shall do them. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim. But to those whose hearts walk after the heart of their disgusting matters and their abominations, I shall recompense their deeds on their own heads, declares the Master Yehovah. And the cherubim lifted up their wings, with the wheels beside them, and the esteem of the Elohim of Israel was high above them, and the esteem of Yehovah went up from the midst of the city and stood upon the mountain which is on the east side of the city. And the Spirit lifted me up and brought me in a vision by the Spirit of Elohim into Kasdima, to those in exile. And the vision that I had seen went up for me. And I spoke to those in exile of all the words of Yehovah which he had shown me. Chapter 12. And the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, you are dwelling in the midst of a rebellious house. They have eyes to see, but they have not seen. They have ears to hear, but they have not heard, for they're a rebellious house. Therefore, Son of man, prepare your baggage for exile, and go into exile by day, before their eyes. And you shall go from your place into exile to another place, before their eyes. It could be that they see, though they are a rebellious house. And you shall bring out your baggage for exile, before their eyes by day, and at evening go before their eyes, like those who go into exile. Dig through the wall before their eyes, and you shall bring them out through it. Take them on your shoulders and bring them out at dark before your eyes. Cover your face so that you do not see the land, for I have made you a sign to the house of Israel. And so I did as I was commanded. I brought out my baggage for exile by day, and at evening I dug through the wall with my hand. I brought them out at dark, and I took them on my shoulder before their eyes. And in the morning the word of Yehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, did not the house of Israel, the rebellious house, say to you, What are you doing? Say to them, Thus said the Master Yehovah, this message is to the prince in Jerusalem and all the house of Israel who are in their midst. Say, I am a sign to you. As I have done, so it is done to them. They are to go into exile, into captivity. And the prince who is in their midst is to bear his baggage on his shoulder at dark and go out. They are to dig through the wall to bring them out through it. He is to cover his face so that he does not see the land with his eyes. And I shall spread my net over him, and he shall be caught in my snare. And I shall bring him to Babel, the land of the Kasdim, but he shall not see it, and yet die there. And I shall scatter to every wind all who are around him to help him, and all his bands, and I shall draw out the sword after them. And they shall know that I am Jehovah when I scatter them among the nations, and I shall disperse them throughout the lands. But I shall let a few of their men escape from the sword, from scarcity of food, and from pestilence, so that they recount all their abominations among the nations wherever they go. And they shall know that I am Jehovah. And the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, eat your bread with trembling, and drink your water with fear and with anxiety. And you shall say to the people of the land, Thus said the Master Jehovah to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the land of Israel. Let them eat their bread with anxiety and drink their water with astonishment, for her land is emptied of all who are in it, because of the violence of all who dwell in it. And the cities that are inhabited shall be laid waste, and the land shall become a wasteland, and you shall know that I am Jehovah. And the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, what is this proverb that you people have about the land of Israel, which says, The days go by, and every vision shall come to naught? Therefore say to them, Thus said the Master Jehovah, I shall make this proverb to cease, so that they no longer use it as a proverb in Israel, but say to them, The days have drawn near, as well as the matter of every vision, for no longer is there to be any false vision or flattering divination within the house of Israel. For I am Jehovah, I speak, and the word which I speak is done. It is no longer deferred. For in your days, O rebellious house, when I speak the word, I shall do it, declares the Master Jehovah. Again, the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, the house of Israel is saying, the vision that he is seeing is for many days from now, and he is prophesying of times far off. Therefore say to them, Thus said Master Jehovah, none of my words are deferred any longer. When I speak a word, it is done, declares the Master Jehovah.